What's up, everybody? Welcome to News, Games, and More, IGN's daily live news show. What is today? Today is Monday, October 19th. My name is Damon Hatfield. I will be your guide for today's journey. And today I am joined by Jonathan Dornbush.
Hello.
Destin Legary.
Bam! Welcome, everybody.
And here comes a new challenger, newcomer making his first time appearance, at least for my particular brand of this show, Ben Watts. Thank you so much for sitting in today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, as always.
So, lots of fun topics to get through today. It's Halloween season, it's spooky season, and we're running a big face-off over at IGN.com where we're letting people pick their favorite movie monsters of all time, and we're going to play that face-off live before your unbelieving eyes right here in just a few minutes. We're gonna let the crowd gather a little bit. Let's see how many people are watching right now. 3 million people are watching us live right now. I think we can get up to 5 million. So we're gonna let the numbers tick up just a little bit, and we're gonna get through a couple fun news stories today about how Sony plans to keep the PlayStation 5 cool. I think that's pretty interesting. And then some unpleasantness is happening in the NBA 2K21. But first, as always, let's cover off on what we played over the weekend. Ben, would you like to kick us off?
Oh, yeah, of course. I am maybe the worst person to ask because I'm still making my way through Assassin's Creed Odyssey, believe it or not. So I'm nothing wrong with that. I mean, I have a child, so I can only really play in the evenings. But I have now 52 hours into the game, and I still feel like I'm nowhere close to the end.
Yeah, you're still early on.
No, yeah,
That's early.
Well, yeah, for that game. I love that game. That game's amazing. But I just never finished it. I probably put 100 hours in that game and still never finished it. Never visited every island. That game is awesome. Wait, do you think you'll play Valhalla like around launch, or are you just gonna stick with Odyssey for a while?
No, I have a tendency to always go to whatever the newest latest thing is. So most probably I'll pick up Valhalla pretty quick. But this is why the PlayStation 5 save transfers. I need my Odyssey transfer to be on the next gen. Otherwise, so I can keep going, because I'm probably not going to come back to PS4.
Speaking of PS4 to PS5, Jonathan, what have you been playing over the weekend?
I've been playing another game that I'm glad we had answers about PS4 to PS5 saves, because I'm in the middle of Persona 5 Royal, and I sure would not like to have to start over another 100-hour RPG too. So I like put that game down. I pick it up and put it down like sparingly, because I've played the original. So this is me just kind of like going for the new content. So I put it down for a while, and then I played another like 5 or 6 hours over the weekend. So that's kind of just been my focus until we get into the like next gen launch window.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say Persona 5 Royal is their game of the year, even though it's not technically a new 2020 game. But I know that's supposed to be really, really good. Destin, how about you?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I didn't play a game this weekend, but I was preparing my entire setup for the next gen consoles to arrive. I'm getting ready. I'm doing cable management. I'm just cleaning up everything, making sure like where is my console going to go? I think the Xbox is going to go here. And then I bought some shelving for the PS5 for the other side of the television. I want them to be like on display and just looking nice. I bought a fake plant just so like it'll have some contrast between the console and the plant. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I can tell. Cable management is an exciting topic for sure.
It is.
I don't know where I'm going to put the new consoles because they're both so big.
Yeah.
Right now I have
suggested behind the television, which is very smart because you actually have a lot of space there.
Well, some people do. I don't know, but then it's obviously not on display, and I don't know if that would affect Wi-Fi or Bluetooth issues. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's a very serious problem that I've got to get sorted out. Yeah. So when you're done with your setup, Dustin, will you come over to my place?
Yeah, sure.
Get my entertainment center ready for next gen.
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay, everybody. If you were drawn to this video by the headline, "What's the best movie monster?" we're going to ask you to wait just a few more minutes before we get to that. Let's kick things off with a news update. The PlayStation 5's fans tasked with keeping your beast of a next gen console cool are going to be receiving online updates in the future which will change their behavior. I don't know, maybe Jonathan can actually explain this better. firmware updates for the fans within the PlayStation 5 based on, is it based on individual players, Jonathan, or recent games that have been out at the same time? I'm not exactly sure how this works.
It's safe to say your fan is now smarter than you, and it's going to be able to adapt to how you play better than you probably do. No, so I think based on my understanding of it, and of course this is through a translated interview, and we're still pre-launch, so there are things we'll probably learn, especially once we get the consoles. But essentially, they'll be able to, I think, register like the way the console behaves as new games are released for it, and if the console, the fan has to really kick up to deal with these new games, and it's noticing people playing a particular way. When it comes to this specific game, they can adjust the firmware essentially of the fan to work better for power consumption and for noise and for heat. Because at the end of the day, it seems like every part of the PS5 is designed to make sure this thing doesn't get loud or hot. And so I think this is future proofing so that, like launch day games are probably not going to be as fully taking advantage of the hardware as games a few years from now are. And so I think this is sort of future proofing it so that when those games do start to come out en masse, they don't have to worry that the console is suddenly starting to sound like a jet engine, as we all say of the PS4 and PS4 Pro. So I think this is designed to be a way to get ahead of that before it's too late.
But that just sounds like to me like the jet engine sound is just a future update that's coming. It's like eventually they have to crank up the fans and crank up the volume. But
probably, but I think it's also to then figure out what the system can do to prevent that from getting too loud. Like how it can disperse either, like the way it's consuming the power and the way the game is causing the system to work. I think it's intended to be able to work in concert with that to help keep that noise, like reduce that noise output and everything.
Dustin, you said this was an interesting feature to you.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of this tech. I think it's very cool, and I hope coding for it is a breeze. Realistically, though, like they showed off the interior of the console. It has this massive proprietary heatsink, right, made specially for the console. So it's going to be really, really good at heat dissipation. They're also using like a really specific thing on the CPU so that it can disperse heat better. And I'm really, really excited about this. Currently, like if you're into PCs, you can hop into your BIOS and you can set custom fan settings. I imagine that the developers are actually going to be able to code their games and just quickly say, look for this temperature, and if it hits this temperature, turn on the fans. Or, hey, we overshot this, we're not encountering this issue, or we're not encountering the heat that we expected, so you can actually quiet the fans. And being able to have that level of customization is really, really interesting. It's all about if it's going to be utilized or not, right? So how easy is it? Like, can they log onto a web browser and just put a few tweaks in there and then send a firmware update to the console? Or are they going to have to do some massive coding work to do that? So accessibility, that would be my question. It sounds like it'll be easier. And then will they actually take advantage of it? Those are the questions I want to see like a year down the road.
Ben, what are you playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey on?
And PS4 Pro at the moment. Okay. So yeah, it's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the person who's going to be most excited for this is my wife, since she's always complaining about the sound of my console. So anything they can be doing to improve my experience with my wife, I will take.
Yeah, it's also, well, no, never mind. Let's just move things on. We have some quotes. This is from PS5 mechanical and thermal design engineer Yasuhiro Otori. He said various games will be released in the future, so that's good to know. But at least we know there's going to be various games coming. And data on the APU, the accelerated processing unit's behavior in each game, will be collected. We have a plan to optimize the fan control based on this data. So that's interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess it's just going to automatically do it. That's even cooler.
But yes, I guess just what isn't clear to me is everyone's needs are specific to them, right? Everyone's playing different games. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, like I don't see pushing like a firmware update for everyone's PS5. I don't see how that addresses the same situation for everyone. I don't know. But Jonathan, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think it's when it's tied to the specific game. Like chances are there are, depending on how the game is running with the PS5, chances are it's going to cause similar problems for a lot of people. If there are games that overheated or, you know, cause the fan to really blow up and start going crazy, like chances are a lot of us ran into the same issues while playing The Last of Us Part 2 in like similar sections or things of that nature. So I think they'll be able to amass that data and then send out the updates based on that collective of data rather than like, oh, it's getting hot here for 30 people, we should send this out. It'll be like, no,
Yeah, exactly.
10 million people played this game and it overheats at this point in the game. We should probably figure out what to do there.
That makes sense. And then, Jonathan, did you notice this engineer Otori said we made a transparent model of the chassis and observed dry ice smoke flowing through it and took temperature readings on each part of the system as we made improvements. And we know that transparent is the most wanted color for a console.
Yeah,
somebody's made one.
We ran a poll last week and they're just holding on to that. They could easily have sold even more PS5s at launch had they just put out this transparent model. I would prefer it though if it did actually have dry ice always running through, because that probably looks pretty cool.
There should be a special edition with dry ice smoke.
I actually had a question about this. So they admit that it's going to be collecting data. Are we going to have to opt into like a data collection thing before every game that nobody's going to read the terms of service of? And secondarily, does that expose a risk for the PS5? Somebody brought that up in chat and I hadn't considered that.
I mean, if it's a hardware-based function, it's probably something that's in the like console user agreement that you agree when you start it up. So
yeah,
because like I'm still agreeing to, I don't know, like I start Crash Bandicoot 4 and there's like a 48-page document I have to scroll through to play Crash. So like there are always still license agreements we're going to have to get through. But I think if it's something that's hardware-based, it's probably there. As for like data and everything being a concern, I mean, I think that's always a concern in any situation like this. Like definitely the PSN and other networks like this have been susceptible to breaches before. So it is always a risk to put any of your personal data with that stuff.
I personally like don't care if it's going to improve the fan. I just realized I'm just like, oh, so it's just going to download that data from everybody's PS5. That's sort of interesting that they have that in there, just like sort of built in.
Yeah, I think Sony's been collecting our data and how we use our PlayStations for a number of years now, I believe. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, is the time you've all been waiting for. We're going to decide what is the best movie monster of all time. Red, our producer. What's so funny, everybody? Red is going to bring up, this is a face-off that we're running on IGN.com right now. So if you want to place your own votes, just go to IGN.com and you'll find it at the top of the page. But let's see here. Let's have a discussion here. So we see, who is this? The Axeman from Resident Evil and the Grady twins from The Shining. Now, while I actually consider myself a big horror movie fan, I've actually never seen either of these movies, so I'm going to need some help from my guests here.
I know. You haven't seen The Shining?
You haven't seen Resident Evil? I haven't seen that.
I have not been avoiding The Shining. I just, in my journey through life, I haven't actually sat down and watched it yet.
Wait, just really quick question. Have you seen Ready Player One?
No, but I know everything that happens.
Okay, just curious.
All right.
I know about everything that happens in that book and movie. What did can someone speak to the Grady twins? Do they have any sort of powers, or are they even real?
They're creepy.
I know they're creepy.
They're twins that stand at the end of a hall and say, "Come play with us." It's awful and nightmarish. And
they write red rum in blood.
They're the ones that write that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, I feel like just on the mere
hallucination anyway.
Spoilers, geez. I think on the mere fact that The Shining is probably a much better movie than Resident Evil, right? We're gonna go with the Grady twins here.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We can all agree with that. All right, Red. We're going Grady twins. Here we go. Looking through some more here. Oh man. Okay. So The Thing is very, very high up there for me in my favorite movies of all time. And then Nola's Children from The Brood. Can anyone speak to The Brood?
No.
Nope.
We're going with The Thing here, Red.
I don't even want to look at it. That's how much that movie creeps me out.
Have you seen it, Dustin?
Yeah. I popped it on Netflix, not real. Like, I'm like, all right, fine. I'll finally watch this movie. And it scared the hell out of me.
Now, this is a good one. This one's a pretty tough choice. Two beloved movie monsters, Pennywise and Frankenstein's monster. I might be inclined to go Frankenstein because it's a lot more classic, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would go Frankenstein monster on this one. I mean, kind of in that pinnacle of like original movie monsters.
Yeah.
Especially like, Boris Karloff and what he brought to that role. Obviously Pennywise also, really iconic, but this is tough, but I'd have to give it to Frankenstein's monster for this.
Jonathan, what do you think?
Frankenstein's monster, he's got heart. He's misunderstood. There's
true.
A sadness to him. Whereas Pennywise just really wants to kill everything. It's just like I am more scared of Pennywise than I am Frankenstein's monster, because I know if I just show him love, and I'm a small child, he may still be okay. But he is more iconic, so I lean towards Frankenstein's monster, I think.
Okay. Pennywise is definitely more relevant today.
Yes.
And was probably instrumental in instilling a healthy fear of clowns in people. I don't think, probably around the time of, when people were learning about Frankenstein's monster, I don't think people were too worried about clowns back then. Destin, what do you think?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that, like, you don't see many people. Nobody's afraid of Frankenstein, though. So I mean, that's an argument for Pennywise.
That's true.
He's more aspirational than he is terrifying.
So Pennywise is terrifying. He's just basically pure evil, right? Frankenstein is sort of a flawed character that has more depth to why he's a monster and how he was created. And for that reason, I would give Frankenstein the edge, just because he's sort of a tragedy as opposed to Pennywise, who's just evil.
Yeah. Okay. So there's some shades of gray to him. Maybe a more interesting character. All right, Red, we're going Frankenstein's monster. Man, we're just cruising through this face-off. Okay. Dr. Hill from Reanimator or Infected Mailer. Is that what that says?
From
his 28
real
days
name.
later.
Yeah.
I remember. So 28 days later, of course. I guess I don't remember this particular Infected from that movie. Can anyone speak to who this is?
He's the mailman. I don't know.
Or is he someone mailing something? I've never actually seen it, so I don't know.
You've never seen 28 Days Later?
I haven't. No.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
I don't even like horror movies, and I've seen a bunch of these. Like, I'm surprised, actually.
Ben, you've seen 28 Days Later?
I have. I haven't seen the Reanimator. Both of those images scare me in different ways. I would give it to the Infected Mailer just because that's what I know.
Yeah. Okay. That seems reasonable to me. Red, we're going Infected Mailer. No, I don't quite know what that means. We got to go through a few more here. Okay. Keyface from Insidious: The Last Key. Never seen that. Or Sam from Trick or Treat.
Haven't seen either. Trick
or Treat being a Halloween anthology horror movie.
Keyface looks scary. His face is all weird.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of these movies, which definitely doesn't help this game. But I was pretty scared by Keyface at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. So you know what? Just for that, they got a scream out of me. So that's fine.
Real life experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keyface definitely looks scarier. We'll go with Keyface, Red. Here we go. Okay, Dracula. What, from Klaus Kinski? Oh, that must be like from Nosferatu. Very classic.
Dracula,
vampire depiction
down in this one.
And Igor from Son of Frankenstein. Igor does not look. I'm not. I think I could. I think I would have no problem running away from Igor. We'll go with Dracula here, Red. Yeah, get out of here, Igor. Candyman from Candyman or Damien from The Omen.
Scary children. Damien gets my vote.
Yeah, it's hard to beat Scary Children, right? Is that what we're going with?
That's what I'm
Damien.
going with.
Okay,
you guys.
I've never seen Candyman, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, well-dressed children always terrify me. So that tie, that hat, it's too much.
How can he afford that outfit? Red will go Damien from The Omen, and we'll do one more. Dracula, Gary Oldman's depiction of Dracula, or Candyman again. I don't know. I got to go with Dracula.
Yeah.
Yep. And what he's doing is, again, I don't even want to look at it.
It is a scarier photo for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Destiny, you have I guess I forgot. You're not the biggest fan of horror movies, huh?
I mean, I'll watch them, but like I don't go out of my way to. I was surprised at how many of these I've actually seen that are on the list. But yeah, they're just whatever. My wife won't watch them. Like she can't watch anything that's even sort of scary. So yeah, a lot of Disney movies in my future.
Nothing that's even sort of scary. I don't know. I'm trying to think of examples of things you could trick her into watching that actually aren't that scary. I don't know.
Like, you know that scary thing you showed a while ago that freaked me out?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was something series coming to Netflix. I couldn't even show her that trailer. She would make me turn it off because she would have nightmares. Like she's that creeped out by the stuff. So, yep.
What
it's
about
endearing, for sure.
I don't know. What about like classic horror comedies like Monster Squad?
She probably
which is like
that.
Okay, all right. Then I'm giving up on. I'm giving up.
Sleeping Beauty. That's about her tolerance.
I mean, when you're a kid, there's some of that stuff can be scary.
Yeah.
Let's move on. NBA 2K21 has quietly added unskippable ads to its loading screens. And I guess to be fair, this is something that 2K also did in NBA 2K19 and 20. But another, more even troubling feature of this in 2K21 is that NBA 2K21 offers the option to interact with the game while matches are loading, including editing your lineups. But now that option is not available while you're watching this unskippable ad. So I guess first of all, let's give me your direct sort of reactions to this. Is this trouble? It keeps happening. Jonathan, is it an issue? Or are the people that buy these games every year really bothered by them? Or is it people that don't actually play these games that are doing the complaining?
I mean, I guess that's a good question of how much the people playing by now care, because this is seemingly the third year in a row. I still think it's bad. Like either way, to add this in post-launch, especially when there was functionality that the ads are now seemingly limiting you from being able to do, that's really dumb. And there's got to be other ways to make money on a very popular sports franchise than to do that to players. I think the part that rubs me the wrong way, and I haven't looked back to be fair of how it was integrated into the last couple, but when it's added post-launch like this, especially because it's not something that's really benefiting the player in any way. Like this edition just makes you feel like you're watching a real basketball game more, which doesn't sound great to me. Like you're playing because you want to cut out all the commercials and everything, and you want to actually be involved in the action. So I don't know. I like just the adding it in post-launch is, I think, the thing that bugs me the most. Like if this was something there from day one, it would feel a little less insidious, I guess.
Yeah, good call back to our monster movie Face Off. Ben, what do you think?
Boo. This is awful and gross, and I hate it. I do play the 2K games. I mean, the quality of the basketball, simulation is fantastic and super fun. But it suffers from, excessive microtransactions and all these little things. Why can't it just be fun? Clearly this is the #1 basketball game in the world. Why are they constantly money grabbing? Why? Because it's greedy and we all want money, sure. But I think it's unnecessary. I would say I would accept it if the commercials were funny. If they were funny and they entertain me, if there was some clever marketing, I can forgive if there's humor in it. But if there's nothing but, hey, just watch this commercial, then boo.
If they were filmed knowing they were specifically being put in NBA 2K21 and could comment on that fact, I'd watch those commercials probably, because they'd get pretty weird meta.
Yeah, if the character I created also appeared in the commercials, I'd be super pumped.
That'd be amazing.
That. Yeah. Am I gonna get those bucks off of that? Come on, I want to see that.
Yeah, it is troubling because this is, it's a full priced product.
And then some.
Even if you're buying a next gen version, it's going to be $70. And like, definitely if I bought a 4K Blu-ray, and then there were unskippable commercials during the movie, that would be a big problem for me. So like, I get it. I don't know, like Destin, you play a lot of, games as a service, games with microtransactions. How does this sort of affect you?
Well, it doesn't really affect me in any way, but I will say this. What are they doing with this game? You looked at the footage, the game looks great. Just let it sell itself. You don't need to upsell for next gen. They were the first company to put their flag in the ground and say, "Hey, we're going to charge more for a next gen upgrade, by the way." Just so y'all know. And now they're running ads. They have like gambling mini games in the game. It's like, what are you guys doing? Just make a good basketball game and get rid of all this bad PR stuff. Like, are they really going to convert that many people to like buy things within their game? It's just so messy and unnecessary. The game sells well, as far as I know. There's no reason to do this. It doesn't make any sense.
That's probably why the ads are in there, though, is because if they've been doing this for a couple of years and the sales haven't like gone down significantly, other than a big Twitter conversation about it or us talking about it on a show for a week, they maybe don't care, which sucks. But like, that's kind of the capitalistic mindset of that, I guess. Because like, I agree. I don't know why. I guess like you're saying, these games sell extremely well. They obviously make a huge amount of money on the base sales, but then also when it comes to microtransactions, otherwise they wouldn't keep doing them. But is the NBA license just that expensive that they need to start running these ads? And if so, just make a Space Jam basketball game and we'll all be fine.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah. I think a Space Jam game could do really well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think there's better ways for them to upsell players besides the gambling mini game and forcing ads in your face during the thing. Just give me like goofy outfits or something that I can wear. People would buy that stuff. Seriously, you don't need to overthink it. Just give us customization options and things like that. But the way they're going about it, it's really unappealing just through and through. Gambling, and I think they went, well, I don't want to misspeak on that, but there was definitely litigation this year about microtransactions in games going on with a company, and they're just setting themselves up for trouble down the road. There's no way that this is endearing to the consumer in any way.
Yeah, it almost seems like, the friendlier way to handle it for 2K would be if there's a full price version that has no ads, you pay $60, get the whole game. And then maybe there's a free to play version that does have ads, because NBA, it's the basketball portion of the game is apparently really good. And Genshin Impact has shown that you can have AAA quality free to play games with unobtrusive gotcha mechanics that people really, really like, and also apparently makes a lot of money for the publisher.
Yeah, you can play that game for like 100 hours before you hit the paywall.
Yeah. Jonathan, did you ever get a chance to check out Genshin Impact?
I still haven't, mostly because I've been debating whether or not to just start playing on PS5. But
because the next gen version is coming.
Yeah, that and just having loads faster and everything. But
yeah, of course. Okay, well, unfortunate situation going on with NBA 2K21, but let's talk about a game that's coming up later this month, Watchdogs Legion. Ubisoft announced a little while ago that Aiden Pierce, the protagonist of the first Watchdogs, would be added somewhere down the road next year as a playable character via DLC. And then I think they did an AMA on Reddit where they're asked about how Aiden's going to be slotted into the main campaign, since he's a well-known character, and the whole idea of Watchdogs Legion is that there isn't a main protagonist. You can play as anyone in the world. So one of the Ubisoft employees that's working on the game said, Aiden will be treated as another member of the team. We are writing the full single-player story again with Aiden's personality. When you replay the main missions again, Aiden will be integrated into all the original cinematics. So they took a game where you're not supposed to have a main character, and it seems like they created a lot of extra work for themselves to bring in a main character as DLC. And it's also a main character that I don't really think a lot of people were like clamoring for to see return.
Well, honestly, I'm hearing about this just now.
Okay, good.
and I'm actually really excited to play as Aiden Pierce. So I'm
good.
surprised by this, and I think it's kind of a cool way for them to introduce a character that fans of the franchise might recognize and be excited to learn what has he been up to,
Well, so tell me about your excitement. You're a fan of the first Watch Dogs. You like Aiden Pierce as a character?
Yeah, the first Watch Dogs, I did the IGN first 4 back in the day, and I had to do a lot of stuff about the character and just the game in general. I think I played that game start to finish, and I think hopping in with Watchdogs Legion and being able to figure out what he's been up to and how his character has grown and how he's developed since that game, that's really exciting to me. I'm like a sucker for really, really good storytelling. And if this is a through line with whatever the main Watchdog Legion campaign is going to be, or some smart way to integrate Aiden into that world, I'm interested in that for sure. You got me, Ubisoft.
Well, okay. Were you already excited about Watchdogs Legion to begin with?
No.
Okay, so that's why
tepid.
That's what I think this is all about. I think there are a lot of people. I think maybe
just
Ubisoft,
to get Destin sale.
Well, and gamers like Destin. I think maybe Ubisoft was feeling a little bit.
They do.
Maybe they weren't super confident in the direction they're going with Legion, and they're for people like Destin. They're like, but wait, we'll add him down the line, and we'll rewrite the whole story so it makes sense when he's in there.
Do you think they needed a single identifiable protagonist to just have people sort of latch onto? Like maybe that's their marketing tactic here, because I like that a lot in games.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
that's not what the original. That's not what the pitch for Watchdogs Legion was, right? It's something totally different. And now the DLC plan is like much more traditional.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting since it's not going to be available at launch.
Yes.
Am I going to want to replay the game just to play Aiden Pierce? Personally, I'm excited for the game, although it's not really on the top of my list. But I'm probably not going to replay it just to get those cutscenes for a character. When they say it's like, we're going to redo the cutscenes so we can see, put his personality into it. I don't remember him having that much of a personality to begin with. But it's like, are we going to get, Marcus Holloway from Watch Dogs 2? Is he going to be in the game? Are we going to get other cameos from other characters in the game? They're going to be celebrities we can play at. They're just all cameos. That's what I'm interested in. Like, okay, who do we recognize? Who can I play? Because right now I've seen the grandmother, and that's what I remember.
We've all seen the grandmother.
You joke, but I would actually really like that if they introduced other characters in this timeline. Like, what if you could play as Desmond from Assassin's Creed 2 in a modern day setting?
Yeah,
yeah. See,
yeah, you got me.
And they have to rewrite the story every time.
We'll be playing it for years.
I don't know if you remember Wrench from Watch Dogs 2, but that character is in here. It's going to be added as DLC also. I don't know. Yeah, it's like I actually liked the idea of Watchdogs Legion, the original pitch. So I would, I've been looking forward to that, and I'll play it at launch. But then maybe someone like Destin, since you want to play as Aiden Pierce and he's going to be added for free later, maybe you'll want to wait till next year to play Watchdogs Legion.
Maybe. We'll see. You know what? I'm going to play it both times. I'm going to play it at launch and next year.
Real super fan. He is a super fan. Jonathan, what's your read on Watchdogs Legion?
I have been super excited for this game if the promise of it's like any character can be your playable character really works out and feels fresh and unique, and it's not just here are 6 archetypes and then play as those 6 archetypes. If it really does some unique stuff with that, I think it has really interesting potential. I do not care whatsoever about Aiden Pierce being in the game. I skipped Watch Dogs 1 entirely. I remember the original E3 demo before they could even say what consoles it was coming to, being wowed by it, and then it came out and people were like, it's fine. So I have no love or no ill will toward Aiden Pierce. It seems so weirdly antithetical to what the game has been promoted as you've been saying. So I do just wonder, one, how much this rewrite to get him into the game actually will be, if it's not just characters saying Aiden at the end of a scene off camera, or if it will be anything more substantive. This is more of a, like, if it works out to have a specific character work throughout the whole game, I'm interested to see how that's applied, but I just kind of want to play the base game and I don't really care about this.
Yeah, I'm very much along the same lines as Jonathan here. Watch Dogs Legion is out October 29th, later this month, and that's going to about do it for this edition of News, Games, and More. Thank you very much to Ben for sitting on the show with us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Jonathan and Destin, and to Red, who's working behind the scenes. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with more news, games, and more. Everybody have a good night.
Bye, bye.